Please be advised that the views and opinions of the host and guests do not reflect those of the station, the management, and its network.
Alright, welcome back to Millennial TV. Proceed lang tayo dun sa explanation ni Robert.
Alright, so what was the question again?
Okay, wow, really heavy stuff, and I hope that nakaka-keep up naman yung mga viewers natin, no? And of course, if you have follow-up questions, feel free to follow Robert's channels. He'll plug them later, or message nyo kami dito sa Millennial TV, yung mga hosts nyo. Maybe we can talk about it more next time. I think yung last topic natin is ano yung nangyari dun sa information na meron tayo, paano nawala. And if we're talking about us having access to the information, there are people that say that for us as a species, a very primitive na species, to have access to that kind of information, dapat merong pumasok na extraterrestrials or aliens para ibigay yung information sa atin. So in your line of work, or not even in your line of work, but generally, what can you say about aliens, and what, if any, influence do they have on humans as far as us as a species trying to look into the stars for signs? May alien, extraterrestrial influence ba na naganap? Kaya tayo
mga living things ba dun sa ibang planets?
Again, once again, I have my theories. I don't want to come off as a quack.
Of course.
But you missed out on one other thing as well. Not just extraterrestrial. What about extra-dimensional beings?
Can you spell out the difference?
Now, extraterrestrial, they're not on this planet. They're in another planet, another galaxy.
Yes.
Extra-dimensional, they're not in this dimension.
You mean spiritual world?
They could be spiritual, or even in another universe. Like if you've been watching the Doctor Strange movie, Multiverse of Madness. Okay, I'm not going to give spoilers, but it's obvious that they're jumping into different universes. So there is a universe where I'm the one interviewing Joaqui, and I'm the host next to you. You know what I mean?
A universe where I win the election.
There is, yes. You know why? Because in the multiverse, it's infinite.
Yes.
All possibilities. That's why
I want the universe where I win the election.
well, for all you know, okay, and that's part of manifestation. We'll talk about that later.
I'm gonna break down on TV.
No, we'll talk about that in manifestation later on. But here's what I'm trying to tell you. If you're asking me, was there an influence of extraterrestrial intelligence on this planet? In the length of infinity, I'd like to say yeah. I mean, it's almost impossible to think that we are the only living species in infinity. That just deletes the possibilities of infinity by saying that kami lang, okay? Number two, there are certain things like the pyramids of Egypt that have been proven to be way beyond the technological capabilities of mankind to do, okay?
Yes.
Again, though, it's kind of like if you're going to teach the higher levels of jiu-jitsu at Purple Belt to a 5-year-old child, the child's just gonna look at you funny. You understand? But if you keep exposing them to it more and more, they're gonna appreciate it and eventually be able to do what you do. It's the same thing that these extraterrestrials or these extra-dimensional beings, they came in to try to seed or grow culture, grow a life form, and if for whatever reason they either left or they realized they couldn't teach us the way we wanted to. They were too slow. There's a very good movie that epitomized that. If you've seen the movie Prometheus, I love that movie.
Yes.
I love that movie. I dissected that movie. Okay, that's why I was so disappointed in the sequel. Because it's balik sa alien. I wanted to know the origin, you know what I mean?
Prometheus.
The origin, who are these engineers? Something like that.
Yes.
And there's a lot of debate about that. But Ridley Scott, one of the greatest directors ever, actually said that he was taking it from the birth of humanity. That what if millions of years ago, an advanced civilization seeded life on this planet and just left it alone? Bahala na, let it be. And we are the product of that. So in other words, we have the potential to be that.
Right.
We have the potential to hit that. But another thing that we're looking at is the concept of time. Because time is limited in our eyes because, we only have a good 80 years if we're lucky. 100 years if you're really lucky.
Yes.
Right? But to a species that's infinite, 100 years is nothing. You see what I mean? 20 years is nothing. So we're the ones in a rush. We just need to let things unfold as they do. Because the truth about it is time actually doesn't exist. There's no such thing as time. Time is a man-made concept.
I've heard that theory. Pero, di ba, for purposes of discussion, obviously, it's very hard to get into the technicalities
Yeah.
of explaining what time is and what time isn't. Pero ako, I've heard yung mga concept nga na parang time, matter, and everything that we know is constantly in flux, and this is just our version of it, 'di ba? Maraming mga alternate versions everywhere na iba-iba yung mga nangyayari. So siguro we're jumping from aliens to now telling us yun nga, there are infinite versions of reality. Are we still connected ba? Ano ba? Tumatuloy ba yung maayos o masyado na malayo?
Pero ikaw, anong belief mo? Kung meron ba talagang living things dun sa ibang planets?
Ako kung living things lang, ito kasi, let's assume na life on all planets, na you need the equal amount of water, you need the equal amount of sunlight, you need certain conditions to happen. Ako, naniniwala ako na kung meron man mga ibang planets, dapat nag-evolve sila, naging tao rin yung lumabas eventually. Pero eto, para malayo lang sa discussion ng konti, di ba supposedly dinosaurs existed, di ba? Kung hindi nagkaroon ng extinction level event at nawala yung mga dinosaurs, what would have happened to the Earth? And di ba, I mean, maraming theories why the dinosaurs died out. Pwedeng climate change, pwedeng meteor. Pero ang akin lang, hindi ko kasi makita kung paano tayo aabot sa level ng dinosaurs na naging tao eventually kung hindi mawa-wipe out yung dinosaurs. So, ikaw, sige Robert, like, let me, in terms of how planets evolve and where it's feasible to find life, what can you say about that?
You're coming from a prospect of human life, that we need sunlight, we need water. Humans need that. A life form on another planet may not need that. A life form in another, like say in Saturn or Jupiter, could be gaseous. You understand? We are basing it from our own lens. So naturally, human life may not thrive on a planet like Saturn or Mars. It'll thrive on Earth. But are we so smart to say that that's the only kind of form of life that can exist? Example, a virus is life. A virus is alive, believe it or not. And its only purpose is to replicate. How do we know that in Saturn there aren't living viruses? That's life. But it's in the gas. You know what I mean? We don't know these things kasi we're so limited to our own existence within this world. That's why in the multitude of infinity, it's important to keep an open mind. It's really important to say anything is possible. And when you know that, when you come from that energy, it's very inspiring to you because it's like, wow, talagang posibleng lahat. Nothing is impossible.
Pero naniniwala rin ako sa Bible. Kasi sabi sa Bible, wala raw mabubuhay sa ibang planeta. Kumbaga, lahat ng tao dito lang sa Earth. Tsaka yung mismong Earth, wala kang makikitang kapareho sa ibang part ng outer space.
Here's my take on it, and Robert, let me know also what you think. Of course, I've raised ako as a Roman Catholic, so yung Adam and Eve Bible story, pinapaniwalaan ko naman yon bilang pananampalataya. However, kung babalik tayo nga sa discussion ng seeding ng mga life sa mga planets, hindi ba, ako kasi, I'm not saying ganito yung nangyari ha, pero nag-a-align sa akin yung explanation na merong higher being na nag-seed ng life sa Earth na, di ba nga, si Adam and Eve, and then, di ba, kinain yung fruit, whatever, kaya tayo naging ganito. Pero, meron nga talagang nag-seed ng life na, yun nga, yung Adam and Eve, yun dapat yung perfect form ng humanity until, yun nga, medyo nagkagulo, tapos naging ganito tayo. So, ako, whether or not you believe in the Bible or you believe in that explanation of an extraterrestrial seeding life, sa akin naman there's a way to match it if you wanted to make sense of it. Ikaw, Robert, what do you think?
I like how you use the word tao, people. There are no other people on Mars. Not yet, at least. Elon Musk would want us to be there. You understand? So if we're gonna follow the Roman Catholic Bible, then that's correct. Because these are people who say, yeah, there are no people, humans, in Jupiter or Pluto. But another thing I'll question is this: bakit have they gone there? Anong basis nila? I'm not questioning the Bible. I'm also Catholic.
Right.
I'm just being a bit open-minded here. Okay, I mean, it's easy to believe that, yeah, that's correct, and I'll take that for what it's worth. But the logical and the rational side of me was like, how do these people know? That's like saying that there's nobody in Antarctica. Why? Have you been there? Do you have anybody who's there? Anong basis? We haven't gone even fully to Mars yet. We haven't gone past that. So there's really no basis for us to say that life only exists here. Okay, now human life, I'll agree with that 100% for now. Human life only exists here. Maybe in another dimension or another reality, ibang planeta. But the thing is, we cannot say that life, quote unquote, is exclusive only to Earth.
Makes sense?
Yes.
Makes sense. Ako, I liked how si Robert delved into what we understand life is supposed to be versus other manifestations of life nga na baka hindi parehas doon sa kung ano yung tingin natin. Pero, yun nga parang if we don't know kasi talaga, kumbaga, etong mga extraterrestrials na nagsiseed ng mga pwede, the question goes on and on. Even these higher beings that plant life, supposedly, is there a higher being pa that governs these higher beings and so on and so forth? So where does it start and end, if that question makes sense? Like, if we're saying that this much I've established with the conversation, there are levels to life, there are levels to technology, there are levels to advancement, there are levels to awareness. So each stage transcends another and another and another. So where does it go from, how we think it is or how we know it is to the level where it's already transcendent beyond how far does it go? How does it evolve from there? How does it transcend from there?
Again, coming from conjecture, because I don't want to come off as a quack, infinity.
Yes.
Because you can say, because Joaqui and I are Marvel geeks. Who's the most powerful in Marvel? Living Tribunal, right?
Living Tribunal, yeah.
Then the one above all. Pero sino mas powerful compared to the one above all? Stanley. Diba? So, and who's mas powerful kang Stanley? President Biden. And who's more powerful than President Biden? I don't know. It just goes, the ball keeps rolling. And if we're going to use the idea of infinity, we'll never really know that answer.
Yes.
We'll never really get a clear answer of where does it start and where does it end. Because we haven't even mapped it. We haven't seen the end of the universe. We have such a limited experience. 80 to 100 years if we're lucky. That's a very small amount of time for us to understand the concept of infinity.
Yes. Ako naman, naniniwala ako na merong creator talaga. Kasi, halimbawa, ikaw, ginawa ka, ultimo yung kilay mo, perfect yan eh. Kasi bakit? Kung wala kang kilay, pag pinawisan ka, diretso sa mata, mahapdi. Yung kuko mo, may gumawa niyan. Bakit may kuko? Pangkamot. Para pag nagkamot ka, masarap. Di ba?
Masarap.
Di ba?
Pag si Chris, yung mga chika babes natin, alam mo, mabuting na banggit mo, Chris, nga, yung concept ng creator. Kasi, again, I think we're all Catholics and Christians here naman, and we respect all religions, just a disclaimer. But I think every religion kasi believes in, some version of a one above all. Of course, in Catholics and Christians, we see that as Jesus, and even yung Father niya, diba, na it takes a human form. But across all religions kasi, parang everybody worships, everybody tries to align into this, as you mentioned earlier, it just keeps transcending and transcending and transcending. So, our instinct as beings to pray or to worship to that being above all, where does it come from? Obviously, someone had to decide to worship that being above all. So, what can you tell us about how this concept of that infinity, that creator, that one being above everything, how did it get to the point where we as a primitive species worship a concept of that?
Okay, good question. You see, this is the funny thing about it, that if we boil down spiritual existence to its basest form, it would go to the shamanic belief systems of all cultures. Ang mga mangkukulam, the shamans, the witch doctors, the medicine men, everywhere you go around the world. In Africa, there's always an intermediary between the physical world and the spiritual world, and that's your shaman. Every culture has it. Before there was science, there was always the witch doctor, there was always the medicine man, the shaman, who would speak for the gods, speak for the trees, speak for the elements. Okay? And he or she would teach the world how to maximize that relationship. Okay? But at the end of the day, it's still a relationship. However, the minute they start systematizing it, it goes away from an interpersonal relationship to an indoctrinated relationship that we call religion. In other words, what are the rules between me and Joaqui being friend? Baka walang rules. Number one, you have to be pogi. Okay? But if we start making it very strict, Joaqui, hindi ka mag-pogi, you're not my friend, then it's no longer how do I say, an impromptu thing, a normal thing, an organic thing. It's almost as if it's dogmatic. It's like, now we have to follow this rule. Now I have to be good looking. And this is where religion comes into play. It basically tells you what to believe and how to believe. But at the end of the day, these are all your own forms of your spiritual experience of something more. This is how you experience the unseen. This is how you experience something beyond you. They call it faith. They call it mysticism. It's your personalized experience. That is what spirituality is about. Now, the shamans are the most boiled down form, the most basest form. There's no rules with them. Kanya-kanya. Whatever they do, they'll eat plants, they'll meditate, they'll starve, they'll kill animals, they'll do what they feel they need to do. Because almost as if they're being an intermediary between the spirit world. Like they're being, influenced by the spirit world. Okay? But at the end of the day, if you're asking me where does it lead, where does it come from, it's always been indigenous to culture. That's why I kind of find it a bit absurd for people to say, no, that's not real. That's been around before your science was around. People believe in that. Like example, here in the Philippines, why is it when we have a new house, what do? They kill a chicken. Right? They'll kill a chicken on your land.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Are you going to make fried chicken? Do you understand? But that is an indigenous shamanic belief that you're blessing the land with the blood of a chicken. It scientifically makes no sense.
Yeah.
But we believe it. That's why we do it.
Yes.
So it doesn't debunk it because it's a subjective thing to you. And you're allowed that. And a person's subjective beliefs should always be respected. Joaqui may believe that I'm from the Church of Pogi and I'm the Bishop of Pogi. Okay, fine. If he believes in that, I respect that. I have no right to say, mali yan, that's wrong. Because all growth begins with respect. It's your experience. There's no one true way to the source.
Napakaganda explanation.
Ako, I am very overwhelmed, needless to say. But, sige, let's give everybody time to digest everything Robert just said. Later on, we'll pick up from yung... we will pick up from where Robert left off when it comes to, yun nga, being able to tap into that higher being and yung practices. Plus, si Robert will be doing live on air a tarot card reading. So, his deck is right here and we're saving the best for last. If you think interesting na yung first two segments natin, watch out for the next one. So, stick around and we will be right back here sa Millennial TV.